welcome to the interview segment this morning on AM 120. We have a very interesting topic in front of us today. It is about coalition ahead of 2027. A lot has been happening in the political sphere in Nigeria, and a lot of people have been, painting different pictures. But then, we are out here to shed some more light on what we have seen and what we could possibly see in the coming days. And to do that, we actually have a guest in the house, a political analyst, to actually help us, look at the insights and what we have gotten in person of Bade Joko Adesumbo, who is joining us again today. You're welcome.
You're welcome, Mr. Badejoko.
Good morning.
Before we take you to Mr. Badejoko, yesterday the former Vice President of Nigeria, who was also a former presidential aspirant, announced the formation of a coalition of opposition political parties to unseat President Bola Tinubu in 2027. And that's why we are talking about coalition ahead of 2027 this morning. Mr. Badejoko, let's look at the formation of these political parties, the coalition. What's the motivation ahead of 2027 election?
One thing, to unseat the incumbent. That's the only motivation they have.
That's the only motivation, not for the people, not for power, not, for the interest of Nigerians.
That's the only motivation they have, and they are not pretending about it. Their problem is Tinubu and to get him out of power.
When you say their problem is Tinubu, how do you mean exactly?
That's because if you look at those that are coming together, they are aggrieved, those that feel shortchanged, those who are known rival to the incumbent, those are the people coming together. And they feel, okay, if they come together, they will be able to unite as a force to defeat him. So the ultimate goal is to have him defeated in 2027.
Okay, let's look at the actors in play here. Talking about Atiku, Peter Obi, Bakare, El Rufai, and apart from you mentioning that their end goal is just to unseat the president, there should be other things. Is it power for power or power for the people? What exactly? Looking at all these people coming together, forming this party.
I would prefer the first one you said. As far as I am concerned, it is power for power. The reason is because you look at all of them, okay, majority of them, they've occupied one space or the other in the past. You understand? So we have an idea already what they can do. Do you understand? Now, as an individual, as Nigerians. And that's why I said, the last time I was here, I said, there are some of them that Nigerians would not want to see on the ballot. There are some of them Nigerians are tired of seeing on the ballot. And they need to come up with a very good combination to sell to Nigerians. Because 2027 election is not going to be like 2023. 2023 was an open thing. The incumbent was not on the ballot. The only election we can compare to that was 2007. That was the last open election we had before 2023. Every other election, the incumbent has always been on the ballot. And that is not going to be the situation in 2023. 2023 now, with what they are doing, 2027 rather, with what they are trying to do, they want to repeat what happened in 2015. But are they doing it the same way it was done in 2013, build up to that 2015? The obvious answer is no. We are talking about alliance. What we had then was merger. You understand? Merger means that what? Every other party that came together surrendered their identity for the new platform that emerged. But these ones want to retain their identity. They just want to, create a special purpose vehicle where they will all migrate to and now use that. That's not going to work.
But then you're speaking about identity now. We have had the former president, as Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, coming out to say this president, the incumbent, is more dangerous than all African presidents and Hitler. And he points out that no one stands a chance to win in these coming elections without something really going on. We are looking at the different identities, and there are some people who are leading to one thing you have mentioned before, that there are certain individuals that we do not want to see on the ballot paper. That's Nigerians now in quotes. What exactly are they looking at here? Because we are some people separating themselves from the coalition ever since the rumors started. We have seen some members of the Labour Party saying they are not a part of it, it's not happening. We have seen some other people say no, they are a part of it. So what exactly is going on in this field? What are they looking at exactly?
Well, let me start from the rear. Now, those "we are not a part of it" statement coming from those parties is what I tell you, that they are retaining their identity. It's just individuals migrating, looking for a special purpose vehicle that they will use. Do you understand? Now, back to what President Obasanjo just said. It's something similar to what I just said, but he said it in another way. That you are dealing with an incumbent. You need to get your acts together. You need to do your formation or alliances, form it in the right way, make it formidable to be able to unseat the person. Because when you were together, he outsmarted you. Now, you need to be very, very smart to be able to unseat him, because he holds the cards at the moment. And you need to just be extra smart to be able to beat him. Because all what you could say you want to deploy, these are things that he is also a master in. Propaganda, or what? Or money. You need to really be, that's what President Obasanjo is trying to tell those that are coming together. And he's telling them the truth. They just need to make wider consultation. And unfortunately for them, Nigerians are disgruntled. I mean, they are disillusioned, rather, about the system. They are not really, what an average Nigerian wants is better life. Do you understand? And anytime that happens, they forget their sorrow. This incumbent has time. We wouldn't know what will happen between now and the end of the year, when the build-up proper will start. What if things started working? These are things that we do not know yet. But that's what Nigerians want to see. They don't care who is in Abuja. What they care is a better living standard. And that is the only thing that the opposition can leverage on. And that will be, there's a condition attached, meaning that things did not improve. It was getting worse until the time of the election.
Mr. Badejoko, talking about creating a formidable coalition, just like you mentioned, and the former president also stated, and you mentioned it briefly just now, and looking at the players involved, Atiku, Peter Obi, El Rufai, we will say they are men who have voices in their respective places, in their respective ways. Now, how do you think they will create a decision-making structure and make sure this coalition really works in their favor, and as opposed to other political parties? Because we can also see that some of these political parties also have are already divided. Talking of PDP, for example, there's been a lot of faction going on. So how do you think this coalition will actually create a voice and make sure their structure stands?
As a matter of fact, it is the division in those parties that is actually leading to the coalition. And that's why they are looking for a stable platform that is not having any internal crisis that they can migrate into. You understand? Those are nobody is talking about. That's why the alliance is not being built around PDP and is not being built around Labour Party, because those ones are invested with crisis and they cannot fly for now. Not that they are going into extinction. You understand? So, for instance, if I'm to give an open advice free of charge, their presidential candidate should be Peter Obi. That is one popular person out there that Nigerians can consider. But then you need to be very careful at the choice of whom you will combine with him, so that you will not spoil that ticket, so to speak. Because if you put somebody that Nigerians do not want to see on the ballot there, then forget about it.
But
and you
think...
cannot sweet talk a Peter Obi to now relegate or demote him to the position of vice president.
But do you think this coalition is going to shape the political landscape in Nigeria?
It has the potentials to do so. Because one, if they get it right, they're already going to make the sitting governments to fasten their belts. They know here they have a strong contender. They know they have work to do ahead of 2027. So it will change it. And of course, some governors are looking. They want to see what will come out of it before they make their own decisions. Because that's another group of people that we are seen not to be considering. And as I said the last time I was here, that the influence of the governors in their respective states is very, very much. And only in few occasions had a state been won without the support of the sitting governor there. So you can't just pretend as if they do not exist. You need to also consider them. And for now, they will not decide until the dying minute. They want to look at, because they will not want to stake their own, they won't take a risk, especially those who have a second election to run for. You understand? The Governor Makinde now may not care who becomes the running mate. You understand? But he is also one person that should be considered in that alliance if they are really serious about it, because you need to look for popular governors within their states to really get the support of the people of that state. And it falls into that category. So when you look at all of this, as I said, these people, to me, they are moving too slow, and I do not see that seriousness yet in their body language.
All right, let's look at certain members of these political parties, these individuals. Last election, some of them held movements that shook the country, undeniably. But then, do we still see them as the same person now? The same characters that we saw pre-2023 election? Do you think people will still go for them, given what has played out between that time frame and now?
Only one of them had a movement that shook the country. Not some. It's just one person.
Okay.
And that's Peter Obi, with the obedient movement.
So you think the formation is only one?
That was why I
person
suggested that the alliance should be around him, or else they are not serious. You understand? Because that will guarantee a block vote from the Southeast. You understand? As in a block vote from the Southeast. And of course, a significant performance from also the South-South.
But Mr.
So when you don't...
do you really think we need this coalition at this point in Nigeria? Because it looks more like, you know, recycled faces, or bringing back the people we know. They've ruled. We've seen what they've done. You know, at each time, some of them ruled the nation or ruled the individual states they governed. Do you think we need this coalition, or we need new faces, you know, fresh breath leading the country coming 2027?
Of a truth, we need it.
We need what?
The coalition, because the incumbents is sophisticated.
Okay, before you go deep into responding to that question, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
The world needs mums. With a splash of golden terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Change no thanks into yes please. Resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty family meals is all that matters. Where there are moms, there is love. Golden Terra Oil, or pure love.
When you're low on energy and need a break, give yourself a treat. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Smooth. Crafted from cocoa, milk, and sugar. Creamy. Chocolatey. Frothy goodness. Rich taste. So satisfying.
Cadbury 3-in-1 Hot Chocolate. The treat you deserve.
What more do you need?
Guys, food is ready.
Cook to impress.
Thank you for staying with us. Still on coalition ahead of 2027. That's what we are discussing this morning. And we still have a political analyst here in the studio with us, Mr. Badejoko Adesombo, giving us insights into what to expect coming 2027, talking of the coalition. And before we went on that break, Mr. Badejoko, I asked the question, talked about, do we really need this coalition, or we need fresh air, fresh breath of new faces, new people coming into governance, coming into politics in Nigeria ahead of 2027?
Yes, we need fresh air. But the thing is, the level at which our politics is, we will need that coalition. As I was saying before the break, the incumbent is sophisticated. You understand? Though they haven't been in power for that long, but you look at the way they have governed. You know, they've risen the bar of these frivolities and cost of governance to the detriment of the people. And Nigerians are tired of that. You understand? But they are gaining numbers because that style seems to be favorable to the ruling class. And that's why a good number of them seems to be migrating into the ruling party because of what they will also get from them. As we speak, they have like 21 governors out of 36. That's huge. Now, when you have that kind of situation, and we say the governors are stakeholders, you know, you begin to look at, it goes beyond the performance of the president to really just use that as, what is it called now? As a campaign point, because the ruling class will always gang up against themselves. You understand? And the only way to unseat that kind of structure is through an alliance. It had happened in Kenya. It had happened even in South Africa. You've seen alliances coming up against the incumbent to bring it down. You understand? And even where they have parliamentary election, like the South African episode, it may not be enough. The ruling party may even need an alliance to form a government when the opposition margin at what had been increased. So that's why I said we need that alliance. A coalition is what would cost. When they were standing alone, they were defeated. The best time to have the alliance was last election, but they decided to go separate ways, and they have learned their lesson. And that was the best opportunity. Because
so the coming together of all of them will be difficult to be defeated.
Now, it is now there. So the President Obasanjo was saying, when you had an open election, you didn't come together. Now, you're going to be contending with an incumbent.
And talking of former President Obasanjo, but before we delve into that, Victor.
You know, I'm just wondering, and I'm thinking, because there was that question that we threw into the head the other time, and I think I'll go back to it again.
Okay.
because you have mentioned that we need a coalition. But then there was someone who brought up a movement that shook the country. And that same person might not be the same person that we are getting now. Pre-2023, we know how much of efforts was being put in. We saw the energy across board. This time around, it looks a bit different. And now, you have mentioned that Nigerians are somewhat disillusioned. How do you see this playing out? Do you think he is the same Peter Obi that we saw back then that made people dream that it could become possible, like they said? Can we see the reenactment of the obedient movement?
If one is the same Peter Obi. Two, his movements, the same obedient movement, is still intact.
Sure
now, the
that?
difference now is this. The other forces that joined the movement under the Labour Party platform, due to the lapses within the APC, Muslim ticket, all those ones may not now be there for him again, because he had significant Christian votes. And what angered most of them was the fact that APC, one, did not field Osinbajo as their candidate, so the Osinbajo group joined him. Osinbajo is still in APC. And two, when they will pick a running mate, they could not see a Christian from the north that is worthy of a VP nomination. And that also angered the Christian masses. But now they have been in government. The idea of Islamization is not selling again, because that was the fear. If you're going to Islamize, by now we should have been seeing the move. And I've always told people, Nigeria may be tweeting towards Islamic religion, but you cannot pronounce Islam as a state religion. It is not possible. That will create a constitutional crisis, and it will lead to so many things that even those who are attempting to do it will later regret. So that's why I used to tell people that that shouldn't even come. But it's the politician. They will say all manner of things because of what they want to achieve, and they will do all manner of things as well to back that up. But going forward, those factors will not be there. And who tells you that Shettima will still be Tinubu's running mate come 2027? You understand? Already we are hearing rumors of him being sidelined. That is not a news in any way. When you are a deputy or a vice, your relevance is determined by your principal. Though he has constitutional rules, that is not being taken from him, but other things will be determined by the principal. And that's why some people will say, well, it's just a backup personality, not really, because the presidency usurps so many responsibilities, and they don't really, and they have their own kitchen cabinet that kind of envelopes him, preventing the VP from having access. In a normal setting, the VP is supposed to be your principal advisor. But no, that is not what we have here in practice. And that seems to be affecting Shettima now. And that's why I said we wouldn't know what will happen. They may have been looking for suitable Christian now to really pacify that and prevent it from being used against them by the opposition. They will learn from their mistake. Okay. So, to round up what you ask, yes, situation is not the same, because then, like I've been saying again repeatedly on this particular topic, that 2023 was an open election. It was an election meant to be won by the opposition, but they lost it because they could not work together.
All right. I'm looking at the statement that we have seen the APC repeat a number of times since they came into power, and they are saying they want to have a complete takeover of the whole Nigeria. All states, all 36 states, they want to own every space in there politically. You've mentioned that we have 21 already owned by them. The timing for this coalition, the personnel involved, do you think that this will stop the APC from achieving that goal?
Even at 21, they are yet to beat the PDP record. At its peak, PDP was controlling about 29. You understand? And whatever Ganduje is saying, let's just attribute the statement to the source. He's not the first person to say such. Ogbulafo said PDP will rule for 50 years, but they could only survive 16. The thing is, Nigerians are not fools. You need to understand that. Even if they control 36 states, it doesn't mean they cannot be defeated at the presidential election. You understand? Governors can swing anytime. You understand? 2015, we suddenly had a G7, and 5 of them joined the APC. And of course, they went there with a formidable force and influence, and of course, added to the number, contributing to the defeat of President Jonathan. Whether or not they regret that move is another thing entirely. But you cannot use that as a guarantee, because PDP too was boasting there of the numbers. But there was that massive swing that went against them. That could happen ahead of 2027. So it's not it depends on how you govern. And Nigerians are disillusioned. What would make them to listen to whatever nonsense you will tell them or sense that you want to make into them, to them in 2027 is how their life had improved. That is the narrative for now. You have removed subsidy, but what are we getting in return? Those are things that Nigerians would want you to convince them otherwise. Why do you think we should give you another chance? Again, with all that you have done, especially these incumbents. You understand? You kept saying economy, economy. Nigerians do not understand the economy. The only economy they understand is their pockets and their stomach. If it is not robust, then there's no economy. Yesterday, I was having a conversation. Somebody came to me and said, with ₦1 million, and if your landlord is sending you out of the house, can you use ₦1 million to put maybe a room? I said, it's not enough. That is the state that we have. ₦1 million cannot build 1-room apartment now. And I told him, I said, a bag of cement is 10,000 naira. How many bags will you need to build that 1-room apartment? A single block is 1,000 naira. How many blocks will you need? You understand? A tipper of sand is 50,000. I was giving him figures that come. That's where we are as a nation. And what is jacking up the price of construction materials or building materials? It is government spending. And these are the people in government. Yes, with that cost, go to GRAs. New buildings are springing up. Building houses that will not be occupied by anybody because the value will be too high for any average person to be able to afford. That is the Nigeria that we have, just for the few. And the masses are suffering. So, in the midst of people not having enough to even transport themselves from one place to another, there are people still going in convoy of 10, 15 vehicles, consuming the same fuel that we complain is being sold at 870 now. So when you look at all these things, that's huge inequality out there. These are things that the APC will have to convince Nigerians about, because these were not the situation. Even though we have semblance of it, it wasn't this worse.
Well, if you say these are things the APC will have to convince Nigerians about, what about the coalition?
The coalition had the opportunity to take advantage. But of course, some of them have been there. You understand? That's why I said.
So what do you think the coalition will now do or say to convince Nigerians? But before we go, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Pẹ̀lú títasábọ̀ Golden Terra Oil lásán, ìyá wa lè sọ ìfojúro di ẹ̀rín. Kó sọ, ó tì, ẹ ṣe, di bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, ẹ jọ̀wọ́, kó yanjú rògbòdìyàn láàrin ẹbí, láì bẹ́ẹ̀ lò. Ká pèsè oúnjẹ tó dùn, tó ṣara lóore fún ẹbí ló ṣe kókó jùlọ. Torí níbikíbi táwọn ìyá bá wà ní ìfẹ́ máa gbé.
Golden Terra Oil, or pure love.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Still talking about coalition ahead of 2027. And before we went on that break, Mr. Badejoko was talking about, the economy we found ourselves, talking about building materials. And someone he's here in the studio talking about, he said something about...
I said 50,000.
50,000. 50,000 for what?
For a truck of sand.
A truck of sand. And someone is saying it's no longer 50,000. It is now 95,000. Well, that's the reality we found ourselves in, talking about our economy. And we hope it really gets better. And that's why, we are talking about the coalition ahead of 2027. Mr. Badejoko, before we went on that break, I was talking about, you mentioned, these are the things APC will have to say to convince Nigerians, or so much more, to vote for them, and things they will say to convince Nigerians to still vote for them in 2027. And I was saying, okay, so what are the things the coalition would say? Because I'm going to think whatever APC will say, still the same thing the coalition will say, because they've also been in the system, and they're just moving from one political party to the other, looking for where would favor them. What do you think the coalition would do better ahead of 2027?
Sincerely, I do not know what they have in mind. But going by their usual behavior, they will be selling those narratives that we just highlighted now. You understand? To Nigerians. And there will be some rational beings among us that will look at their mouth. Okay, APC said the same thing in 2015. We trusted them. See where they have taken us. Now, are you saying that you would reverse certain things? Of a truth, there are some things that had happened now that can't go back to where it was before now. You understand? They will not tell you that. When they get there, they start giving excuses in the usual politician way. But there are some other issues that will also come to play in 2027.
Issues
Vote
like
buying.
what?
Vote buying, that is the current one, and it's a very big issue. Now, you cannot outspend the incumbents, especially when you are not even ready to spend the money. You understand? That is an issue that they have to deal with, and this is where the governors will come in, because they control the state structures.
But talking of vote buying, it looks like we have normalized the issue of vote buying in Nigeria.
That is where we are.
And it's before now, it's something that it was practiced, but it was unheard of. It was something we wouldn't really come out to talk about. But now we are talking about it openly. Are we really embracing it?
We are condemning it. You understand? That is why we are talking about it. And we are bringing it to the fore so that people would remember. And saying it now is even a favor to those coalitions, because they need to put that into consideration. They control the government machineries. Those are supposed to arrest the buyers are controlled by them. You understand? What if they only decide to arrest your own buyers and turn away from their own buyers? You understand? Because what makes it trend is the advent of beavers and card readers and all of them, that you cannot stop ballots again. The other is the use of violence. The electoral law says where there's violence, you cancel the result of that area. You understand? They have the instrumentality to start crisis in your stronghold and prevent people from voting, or create a situation where the votes in that area will be cancelled and only their own will be valid. These are issues that will come to play. And when all these things are coming up, Nigerians who do not want to die will stay away. That's another issue. Apathy. And if you look at the level of apathy from 2015 down to 2023, it was increasing. So meaning we'll still have to deal with that in 2027. Maybe at a very even significant way. You understand what I'm saying? And the way around all of this, the National Assembly is not even considering it. For now, if they are going to tamper with the Electoral Act, this is the year to do it. But nobody is debating it. They're not even coming up with anything around it.
Maybe because they're on the side of the incumbents.
But they have opposition figures there. Have they sealed their own mouths? Can't they even, at least for once, represent the interests of the platform that gave them?
What are the specific, because this is one of the things we should be looking at going into 2027. What are the specific interests, the ideologies, what are the structures for these different political parties? You've called them special utility vehicles. You used it certainly.
Special purpose.
Special purpose vehicles. And those are the questions we should be asking, because some of them are out there. We do not know exactly what they're standing for. They just come up with a mantra for each election cycle, and then they go away, and throughout their time in there, we do not see exactly what they have been pointing out.
You know, I said they are not doing it the way it was done in 2013. How was it done in 2013? CPC was a party with its own clear ideology. AMPP is another. ACN, another. They surrendered their identity, their structure, and collapsed into the APC. And the acronym APC was conjoined from the three-party. You understand? And they came up. So what they bat at 2013 attracted a faction of Habga, you understand, to join them. And the new PDP that had, emerged out of the PDP then also joined him and made the party to be stronger. Before those ones joined, don't forget, the first two elections APC contested, they lost. They lost Anambra, they lost Ekiti. They could only win in Osun, and they barely won even in that one. Do you understand? But they were getting strength. Now, you have not merged into any new platform. You are retaining your whole platform. You just adopted one. You are migrating into that one. Because maybe one or two of you had something to do with the identity of that one, which is not the same anyway. The SDP we have now is not the one Abiola used in 1993. They just carry the same name. You understand? Because that one was formed by the government, people joined. This one was formed by some people, and they attracted other members. So when you look at that, you are not seeing this. So when you are seeing things not, if you want to follow a footstep of successful people, you do follow it the right way. But if this is a road to success and you are following this route, that means you are going in the wrong direction. That's what I see as a problem with them. And that is where I am concerned. You understand? Like I used to say, people like us, our role is clear, to give you the facts that you need to know as a people. We may not get the opportunity to vote because we'll likely be busy on that day. You understand? Like when people say, Shebi, you voted, I did not vote. I was busy doing what I do on election day. You understand? But before then, we have told you these are the facts on ground that you need to consider before thumbprinting. If you fail to consider it, whatever comes out of it, then you have yourself to blame. Okay. We are already doing that now. That is what this conversation is about. So that people will look at this new coalition and decide how they want to really see them. Maybe they should start seeing them seriously or otherwise.
Okay, Mr. Badejoko, talking about the coalition, before I go into this question, we have another commercial break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
At break time, when my chap needs to keep going, he's going to need his favorite snack, containing calcium, iron, and fiber.
Milo Energy Snacks, snack of future champions. Milo. Ṣí ayọ̀, tú ìtọ́wò àdùn sílẹ̀.
All right, thank you very much for sticking around with us. So we are still talking about the coalition ahead of 2027. We have a political analyst right here with us, the person of Mr. Badejoko Adesumbo. And yes, my partner was on to a question.
Yes, as we are winding down on this segment, unfortunately, Mr. Badejoko has been giving us so much insights, but we'll have to ask him this question before we let him go. Talking of the coalition, NNPP and SDP came out yesterday to say we are still an independent party. We are not joining forces, with any other party. Is this a case? Now, I'm really trying to even wrap my head around, should it be a case of how many political parties are in the coalition or the strength of the people in the coalition?
There's a difference between coalition and a merger. what those people are saying, they are ruling out the possibility of a merger.
Okay.
Or the impression that a merger is about to happen. That is what they are trying to rule out. Meaning that was, they could still break and go their separate way between now and 2027. That is what they are saying. Because there were attempts built up to 2023 that did not work. Especially as regards the Labour Party and the NNPP. Then, they could not work. Why? Each of the major leaders were holding to their ambition. Now, these are also people with ambitions. They all have a common enemy. And of course, the case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend is not always applicable. And in politics too, it's not 100% applicable. So these are things that they know because they are not babies. They are veterans in the game. They understand some of these things that we are talking about. So, and I'm sure they are putting it into consideration. A lot of them have their backup plans. You understand? And as I said earlier, if not for the PDP crisis, someone like Atiku Abubakar would not be even talking to anybody. He would rather ask them, expect them to join the PDP. But they know that platform is now having an issue.
Yeah.
If they don't have a convention before the election, they have no candidates. That is very clear. And that is the fear that people, politicians in that platform are having ahead of 2027. Ditto to the Labour Party too. No convention, no candidate. So that's where the problem is now.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Badejoko Adesumbo, a political analyst. I'm talking about coalition ahead of 2027. Thank you very much for coming this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be right back with our second guest. Please stay with us.